Happy Friday, Soulmates. We have a great conversation in store for you today on this February 10th. That conversation includes students walking out of the class in the name of equality and some shocking test results from the Baltimore school system. Welcome to FOXSOUL's Black Report. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. We're also following California's new marijuana laws, plus the countdown to Rihanna's Super Bowl performance. It's the stories that impact our people.
Indeed. We're going to continue to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. So, topping today's headlines, let's go to Alabama, where students at Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa County are coming together to protest their school's controversial Black History Month program. Students say the administration is refusing to teach key parts of Black History Month, like the Civil Rights Movement and slavery. They claim that the school refused to allow a student-run Black History program to teach historical moments that occurred before the 1970s, including slavery, the Civil Rights Movement, and the Black Panthers movement. Now, hundreds of Hillcrest High Schoolers protested outside of the school campus, demanding for the topics to be covered in this course.
In Ohio, a Bexley Middle School teacher was placed on administrative leave after a racist image appeared behind two students reading morning announcements. According to the school district, the image appeared on a screen behind the two student anchors. It showed an orangutan eating a watermelon immediately after a historical fact was read about Black History Month. Now, the video announcements are recorded before they're shown. The district did not say if anyone watched the video before it aired, but the teacher who supervises the morning announcements was put on leave. A letter was sent to Bexley family after the incident, apologizing to families. Now, Courtney, we are barely a week into the month of February, and we're already seeing White History Month trending on Twitter. We're seeing high school students wearing blackface and mocking slavery because it's February, and school lunch menus being changed to fried chicken, waffles, and watermelon in so-called honor of Black History Month. Can you believe this?
I actually can, and I think it, leads credence to the fact that we are unfortunately still a very divided country. There are still those who, choose to believe the way they believe, that keeps things, in conflict, very divisive. And what's so disturbing is that it is the young people. You almost expect it from, older generations, but obviously this kind of behavior is being passed on and is being perpetuated, and in some areas accepted, if you will. When it comes to these young people, what are their parents, what are their grandparents teaching them? Why is this okay? And I happen to believe that there are not severe enough consequences. Going back to the story we talked about yesterday in Philly, those young girls had been exercising or showing that type of behavior, that type of racist behavior, and nothing has ever really been addressed. And I see that being the problem.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere is lacking consequences.
Yeah,
severe consequences.
I think you're right. There are not enough severe consequences.
Yeah.
And I remember delivering morning announcements in middle school, and I remember leading, Black History Month programs, Black History Month assemblies, and I really just hope for all of our soulmates, our student soulmates out there, that you don't allow this kind of news to break your spirit, right? And that you keep your head held high. Because we have a lot to be proud of, and the fact that our history is still so intimidating, to your point, to the next generation, of folks in our schools, is disturbing. But we've got to press on.
And I know that that's what these situations in these stores are calling for us to do. But to be very honest, culturally speaking, it's tiring, and it's like, stop. Like, come on, y'all. Like, really? I mean, years on top of years on top of years. Where's the breaking point? And so that's what you hear with me. That's what you feel with me. I'm tired. And I don't want the growing tired to turn into something that I wouldn't normally do as far as lashing out or stooping to their level. But you do get tired.
Yeah.
You get tired.
But I'm just so glad that these students in Alabama weren't tired and that they channeled that energy in a constructive way.
That's right.
To organizing and protesting peacefully peacefully. And I have a feeling this isn't the last we've heard of their efforts to make sure that their history is a part of the curriculum. Because a curriculum without it is not a curriculum that's good enough for our people.
I'm going to need these folks to get the point very soon. Get the point. All right, here we go. Students in the city of Baltimore are facing some pretty hard challenges based off the latest test scores. The results are absolutely shocking, as mostly all students are not performing at grade level in math. Now, the Maryland State Department of Education recently released the 2022 state test results known as MCAP. That's Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program. Baltimore City's math scores were the lowest in the state. Just 7% of 3rd through 8th graders tested proficient in math, which means 93% could not do math at their respective grade level. Very alarming, especially since we preach STEM and moving our young people in that direction, because that is what the future is, and we know that the future is now. Very disturbing test scores. Again, what are we as adults, school officials, teachers, parents, counselors, where does the buck stop? Where does the buck stop?
Well, I think you're right. And there was a Baltimore resident that made headlines back in January 2022 when they filed a lawsuit against Baltimore City Schools, where they essentially said we're not living up to our potential. And they went on to say that when they filed this lawsuit, that the district was failing to educate students and in the process misusing taxpayer funds. And we, the taxpayers, are funding our own demise. I think there is truth to that, and Maryland just elected Wes Moore as their new governor. He's got his job cut out for him.
Yes, he does.
But this will be a measure of success. To what degree is this governor, in concert with school officials and with the mayor of Baltimore, going to work to turn this around? It's not going to happen overnight, but to your point, math scores. Math education is so critical. If our young people are going to have a shot at the jobs of the future in tech, the jobs of the future in an economy that will pass them by if we don't figure this out.
Well, we just talked about how millions of young people have not returned to school after the pandemic, but for the ones who have returned to traditional education, they are still being failed, obviously, when you look at results such as this. So a big fix, no matter what side you are on. So we'll look forward to some solution-based conversation.
Well, speaking of solution-based conversation, a new bill in the state legislature would clear the way for cannabis catering at private events. The proposal would allow cannabis companies to obtain catering licenses and offer those services at private events. However, it does have some restrictions, like controlling the area where the cannabis will be used, and would have to be restricted to those 21 years old and over. Also, the caterer would not be allowed to provide alcohol services. This is all happening back in my home state of California.
What's going on in Cali? Well, I mean, look, listen, I think there's just been this movement to, make cannabis a part of our everyday, whether you partake or not. I'm not a partaker, but there are, friends and family who do. I've been in social settings where that is pretty much the norm. And, I just think it's one of those things where as a society, we have to continue to shift. I can clearly remember as a kid when it was okay to smoke any and everywhere. I remember you could smoke on an airplane. Now, think about how that shift had to happen, and pretty much if you smoke, you can't light up pretty much anywhere. You have to walk 1,000 feet from a building just to light up a cigarette. So I think we're headed in that direction. I just think because for so long, cannabis was considered weed, wrong, hush-hush drugs. I think it's taken a minute for people to flip, but I think we'll eventually get there, and it'll just be normal every day, as we see with reports like this, where they're about to cater to folks' needs.
And it's going to be a huge boon to the economy. And so we want to make sure that, while so many of folks in our community were locked up, for possession of marijuana, we want to make sure that our communities have the same access when it comes to, legalizing and regulating, and being a part of this economic boon. And so it's quite a balancing act, to your point. We want to make sure that we're creating opportunity on one hand, but on the other hand, we want to make sure that, kids aren't getting access to, cannabis gummies, before they're of legal age, and we want to make sure that people aren't mixing up their weed gummies with their regular gummies.
And then there's still a lot of debate as to what it does to brain cells.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, I'm concerned about that as well. I know a lot of cadets, as in space cadets, who are regulars. So let's not forget about that aspect too.
They just moonwalking.
I guess so. Moving right along here, Super Bowl Sunday is heating up as Rihanna prepares for her highly anticipated halftime show. The new mom and 9-time Grammy winner promised a celebration of her greatest hits. At a recent media preview, she said becoming a mom gave her the confidence to take on this big stage after 7 years away from live performances. Let's take a look at a recent media preview.
It feels like it could have only been now.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first got the call to do it again this year, I was like, "You sure?" Like I'm 3 months postpartum. Like, should I be making major decisions like this right now? Like, I might regret this. But when you become a mom, there's something that just happens where you feel like you could take on the world, you can do anything, and the Super Bowl is one of the biggest stages in the world. So, as scary as that was, because I haven't been on stage in 7 years, there's something exhilarating about the challenge of it all. And it's important for me to do this year. It's important for representation. It's important for my son to see that. The set list was the biggest challenge. That was the hardest part. Deciding how to maximize 13 minutes, but also celebrate. That's what the show's going to be. It's going to be a celebration of my catalog in the best way that we could have put it together. And you only have 13 minutes. That's the challenge. So you're trying to cram 17 years of work into 13 minutes. So it's difficult, but some songs we had to lose because of that, and that's going to be okay. But I think we did a pretty good job at narrowing it down.
Oh, girl, you got this. And I remember that was a no period back when they first asked her. So it was good to hear her process to this yes. And the performance will be sponsored by Apple Music, replacing Pepsi after 10 years. We got you, Riri.
Also in Riri news, Rihanna is also dominating the soundtrack for the Philadelphia Eagles as they prepare for Super Bowl 57. The team took to TikTok to share their favorite Rihanna tracks with fans, with Umbrella coming out as the most popular pick. Running back Boston Scott impressed fans with his rendition of 4 or 5 seconds. The Eagles will take on the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday in Glendale, Arizona, marking the Eagles' second Super Bowl appearance in 6 seasons and the Chiefs' third in 4 seasons. What's your favorite Rihanna song?
I did like the Umbrella, Ella, and then moving on in her catalog, that You Needed Me.
Right.
And of course, You Better Have My Money. Come on, like.
Better have your what?
My money.
Who better have your money?
You better have my money. Don't be trying to get, fine up in here. Yours? You got a collection of favorite Riri?
Shine Bright Like a Diamond.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right?
That's a good one.
That's a great pick-me-up.
Yeah.
I mean, what Rihanna song don't we like?
That's got to be awfully difficult, going back to that clip, to take, like she said, almost 20 years of music and narrow that down to 13 minutes. That takes a strong, music director and folks in support of trying to put that performance together. I know she'll come with it. I love that, now she says, hey, making a mom has shifted me, and that kind of helped bring her to this yes, because like I said, she was like, no, that first time they asked her a few years ago, and it was like a hard no.
Yeah.
But folks are excited. It's been a while since she's been on the scene, musically speaking, you know, and everybody, that's a lot of pressure though too.
And
a lot of pressure.
I also really appreciate that she recognizes that her appearance is critical for representation. You might remember when Colin Kaepernick essentially got blackballed from the NFL for taking a knee. Rihanna was one of the people that sort of spoke up for him and supported him, and so
which is why she gave them a no at first.
Right. So it's not like she forgot. She knows you know where she's at, and she's clear who her audience is. You know, and I also just appreciate that she's also gonna make this a celebration of her catalog that we love so much.
Let's keep it real. You know, she might be ready for a musical comeback, and this is the biggest stage in the world. So why not at this point say, okay, I'm gonna do it? I wouldn't be surprised if new music dropped right after she sang her last note.
Well, we know she's going on tour after this,
and so my whole point.
And so perhaps this is a preview. Look, Rihanna, we're going to be watching.
All right, coming up, Boston is on the move, working to create their reparations task force.
That's right. Plus a major protest ahead of Sunday's big game. We'll tell you all about it when we return. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report.